Hello, this is Lindsay, Be Well Rebellion, and today I want to talk about imagination. If you are a carbon-based, ordained, soulful being in the human collective that is tethered to the Creator, the Most High Creator, creative energy, creating out of love, your imagination is your superpower. I can't say the same if you are a synthetic NPC hooked up to a motherboard. Um, you are organic portals for programs. Sorry. But if you're a real human being and you are doing your work to come to terms with the truth of the matter outside of you and the matter inside of you, the truth, right? If you're operating in a love of truth and you are incorporating awareness of facts of matter into your vision, your imagination is crazy powerful. That's how you manifest. Like, that's the concept of manifestation, right? I've always said that worry is the worst kind of empathizing, because you are literally handing your vision over to exactly what you don't want to experience, either for yourself or for others. So you have to become the proprietor of your mind and temper your reactions. Like, you cannot be an emotionally reactive person and manifest your freedom, right? Because you're just automatically giving it over. But my point is that, like, as an ordained human being, your mind, I've said before, isn't just a receiver, it's also a projector. And so you become, regulated. Once you become regulated, once you check in with your belief systems and recognize what might be misleading you or misdirecting your energy, once you become sovereign in that sense, where you are not, I've mentioned before the concept of rebelling as a sense of seeking alignments rather than like a sense of opposition to what is. Like, once you become aware of the world you live in and the internal environment that you're creating, and then once you regulate your system, you cannot help but be a projector of realities and timelines. And so your imagination is quite literally your superpower. So it's really important that you incorporate it into your life in a way that serves you. Like, what kind of vision do you want to hold? What are you bringing to the table of your own life in terms of like what your plan is? And like, if you hear about things that disturb your soul and you are dysregulated by it, traumatized by it, which is like reasonable, because there's a lot of weird stuff that we need to be aware of. But if you don't recognize that it's just a potential and not necessarily what has to be happening, then you are going to make it happen. You're going to become the NPC that's feeding the program, right? So you can't hand over your direct experience. It's just like when you prepare for birth. A lot of women, they don't even want to hear like horror stories from other women, because there's something called the nocebo effect. Like, it's not the placebo effect, it's the nocebo effect. So if you think something is, if you hear about something that could potentially go wrong and you are just being really like uppity about avoiding it, it kind of is more likely to happen. So if you got a problem with like what's going on in the world, right? And you want to use your womb magic and you want to use your manifestation power to rebuke it, you really have to incorporate the facts of matter into your own matter and accept it. And then with the alignment that comes from the love of truth, then you can act accordingly with like all the tools available to you. You really cannot operate in fear and think that you're going to manifest a life of love, or you can't operate in lack and think that you're going to manifest an existence full of abundance. Like, you've got to incorporate the laws of awareness into your mind power and be the proprietor of how you're going to use your energetic projection in that way. Because you are, everything that you see here was once a thought. Everything that is at all existing in the physical realm first started as a thought. It was somebody's imagination coming to fruition. And a lot of people just hand over their imaginations to the news, or, other people's limiting beliefs. There's a concept presented by this guy, Robert Anton Wilson, that said, never believe fully in anybody's BS. That's belief system, in other people's or even in your own, because beliefs are based on non-simultaneously apprehended events, meaning you learn more, you integrate that into the story you want to hold, and the vision you want to hold, and the story you want to experience, and then you project it outward. It's not just something that you compartmentalize of like, oh, I wish. Like, that's gotta be your effect. It's gotta be your intended effect. You cannot just doubt it in some sense. Like, if you want to manifest something in your life, like, you have to be like almost delusionally optimistic about it. Not so that you reject facts, because if you don't incorporate the facts of matter into that reality, like, it's not going to get experienced in the way that you think it will. But if you really want to if you really want to birth a new world, you have to integrate the facts that come to your timeline, which require discernment, okay? Because not everything that's told to you is true. A lot of it is a lot of it is presented as like an inception, right? So all these ideas are presented to us like, hey, do you want to hold this vision? Do you want to hold that vision? What do you want to do with this idea? And you got to sit with it and decide, like, that's not actually true. That's that's something that's been offered for me to try to use my mind power to manifest that. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't recognizing, is as a collective, your imagination, your collective imagination, is so incredibly powerful. And if you are going to keep on buying into these really scary psychological operations that are being done to you, you are handing over your superpower, and you're letting somebody else take the reins of your imagination. So you cannot, you do have to integrate the facts of the existence that we're all sharing, but like, you cannot use your imagination as a tool for worry or for fear, because that's what you're feeding. That's what you're feeding. And it's not bypassing at all. It's not bypassing to say, like, okay, I understand what's going on here, and instead of focusing on how that makes me feel, I'm going to integrate it, and I'm going to instead hold a vision that is making it, I always say, like, making it obsolete, or, holding a vision where you're the hero of your story, where yours is a love story, where you are able to overcome these kinds of things, and not just as an individual, but as a collective. You can't say, like, you can't learn about something that bothers you and then consider, like, I'm going to burn this place down, and I'm so enraged by it, and we're not angry enough, and we're not upset enough, and then think that, like, we're going to be able to assuage the situation or remedy the situation in a way without so much collateral damage. Like, we are setting ourselves up for such a violent rectifying of the situation when we learn about so many things that are going on. So you have to remember that even when things scare you, your imagination is really powerful. and the vision you hold is really powerful. And one of the things that I think that is a tool that a lot of people could use, it's like something that I rely on heavily, right, is when I hold a vision, I am delusionally optimistic about the vision I hold, and I start like way out there, right? That's something that seems really almost inconceivable, like perfect world type vision. Things where like I mean like I when I hold a vision, like I don't even think about like money being an issue. I don't even think about people needing to exchange things at all. Like I think about everybody having their needs met, everybody being their own shaman, everybody you know, not even needing to focus on healing because we are all so accountable for ourselves and our own energy, right? So like, and then I work backward from that. Like, okay, well, how could that possibly actually practically come to fruition? And sometimes when you're holding a vision, you want to feel a certain way, and you think that you're going to only feel that way if a certain type of sequence of events occurs, and you're missing out on the fact that it can manifest for you. You can welcome this energetic quality without necessarily having to limit the avenue that it comes. Okay, so like for instance, if you're saying like I need a plot of land so that I can create this community, right, where people can come to live free and create a food forest, and it's going to be private, and that's that, right? You might think like I need a lot of money for that, but maybe it's not money need, maybe it's actually like opportunity, you know? Like there are going to be doors presented to you that you're supposed to then walk through, and it doesn't always look like what you think it's going to look like when you welcome these energies. So like you want to be specific in the vision that you hold, but you want to be open to the avenues that it might potentially grow from. But the fact of the matter, and the matter of fact, is that you have to stay regulated. You can't be emotionally reactive. And you also have to operate from a heart of compassion. You have to cultivate the heart of compassion and recognize how comprehensive the visions have to be so that you're not blindsided by all these potential things you didn't see coming. There's a lot to it as you hone your walk with using your imagination to your benefit, but it's so worth it because, like I said, like it's not only so simple, but it's a superpower. When you see winners winning, it's not because they always win to the untrained eye. It's not that for looking outside, like that they're always things are always going their way. It's that they integrate the facts of the matter that they're experiencing into the vision that they want to hold. And so they can't lose. You know, it's like you either get blessings or you get lessons. And the lessons are important too. The information is really important. So don't forget that you have power. Don't forget that that worry is the worst kind of empathizing. Don't forget that you have every right to hold any kind of vision that you want. And if you happen to share this vision with somebody who is like just capped consciously, you know, like I said, like not everybody is carbon based and tethered to the Most High. Not everybody is soulful. Like some people are literal organic portals here that are just the Mr. Smith agents, like from the movie The Matrix. They're just here to cast doubt on your vision. And if you got doubt casted on your vision and you agree to that, you're cutting yourself off at the knees and you deserve better. But not everybody is cooperating in creating a vision. So be mindful of like when you cast pearls before swine, right? Like be mindful of who you share your vision with, but also, you know, be mindful of who you allow dictate who you allow to dictate how you even perceive your own vision. If you're out there and you're thinking like, this is a beautiful, bold idea that I have, like I just want to share it with everybody, and you do, and somebody's like, good luck with that. You know, you you can decide to stop it right here, like right as it hits your ears, and be like, I don't consent to that. That's your timeline, not mine. And that's how it's going to be. Um, that's how it's going to be. And first was the word, and the word became manifest, right? So you get to choose what you want to consent to. Everything that is coming to you is a communication with the creator, and it's a honing process. Like, you want to include this in your vision? You want to include this in your vision? How about this doubt? How about this limiting belief? How about this implication, right? And then you get to either incorporate it and be like, okay, that's a possibility. I recognize that's a possibility. Let's integrate it into how I want to experience this, right? You are fully in charge. And if you're not in charge of your imagination, you could potentially be one of those people that's hooked up to a motherboard. If that's the case, right? Because there's a lot of people, I think, that started out as NPCs, or like recognized that they were being tools for other people's vision. Like, if you ever study Nietzsche, there's the dutiful camel, right? The camel is working hard toward someone else's vision, right? And carrying the weight of someone else's vision. And then suddenly the lion wakes up and says no. And the lion doesn't really create anything, but just like says no, like roars no. Like, this isn't right. This isn't in alignment with me. I don't resonate with this. And then comes the child, and the child creates what? Out of what? Out of fear? No. Out of love. Out of necessity. Like, out of joy. So when you think about healing your nervous system and like using your body, the vessel that you've been given, to like project outward and to create these timelines that you want to experience, you have to realize that this here is a tool, and it has to be, there can't be like parts of tension, there can't be parts of like that were like dusty corners. You gotta clear it out. And it takes breath, and it takes awareness and presence, and it takes you know, love for yourself to recognize where you're doing yourself dirty, what kind of belief systems you're holding. And it's just like Pinocchio coming to life, being a real boy. Like, you gotta repent, course correct, consider where you've been your self-saboteur, right? Where you've allowed other people to cast doubt on your abilities or your vision, or anything at all. Like, you have to come to terms with that. And when you do, and you operate in love for the self, and love for like the collective, and love for just the whole experience in general, then you're not really afraid anymore. And the limiting beliefs that other people project on you, you recognize they're not yours, and so they don't have to affect your vision. So imagine, like, play with your imagination and see what kind of seeds you can plant in the physical realm, and what grows. You don't have to water every seed that's planted, but you do have to heal yourself so that you are a clear conduit of creation itself. Because the creator doesn't create out of fear or any of this other bullshit that's here today and gone tomorrow. The creator creates out of love. And that's what you are being called to use your imagination to do. And you can, because you are divine, unless you are hooked up to the motherboard. There's a lot of organic portals. Don't get derailed by the efforts of the organic portals. They're going to be cleared out soon, and you're going to be left with what it is that you are manifesting. Manifestation is prayer. It's the word coming manifest. And you're the conduit of it. So you're divine, and don't forget that.